Okay. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. We finished module one last week with all the presentations and all that. We're still churning through those, and we hope to meet with you, talk to you about the individual presentations in the upcoming weeks. The second module is going to start today. Smriti ji will make announcements on the topic and what we are going to do today. But this is the module on Vijnana. Okay, Ayurveda and topics like that. So it's going to be very, very interesting, kind of deep and involved. So please do attend all the sessions and stay focused. About in the middle of the class, we will be making a short announcement of the upcoming program. So just watch out for that as well. So about halfway through the class, I'll just probably maybe raise a hand or something, and then we'll chat about it for a couple of minutes and then continue the class. Okay. All right. We can get started now. Smriti ji, you can share your screen.
Namaste everyone and welcome back to the class. In the upcoming sessions, we would be looking at various components of Bharatiya Vijnana. The word Vijnana, of course, is not directly translatable as science, but nevertheless, as of now, we would keep it as sciences, focusing on Ayurveda, astronomy, Ganita, and of course, at a later stage, a little bit of the yogic sciences as well. And in the next few sessions, at least I think 5 sessions, we would be focusing on Ayurveda, trying to understand the foundational concepts of Ayurveda. So we will be looking at the dosha theory, prakriti, a little about the panchabhutas, and then about the shadrasa, which are the 6 tastes, and how they come together and impact our body. The dinacharya, what kind of a routine that can be followed in alignment with Ayurveda, the ritucharya, which is a seasonal routine that can be followed. So all this, and a little bit about anna, which is the food that we eat, and how Ayurveda looks at food. And in these sessions, we would be starting today with what we call as Padartha Vijnana. It's going to be a bit, heavy, jargon heavy that way today. Why learning the Padartha Vijnana is important is because, as a student of Ayurveda, normally people get to study this Padartha Vijnana, which is basically the foundational building blocks of this knowledge system. So just as people, as they grow in their, say, research or whatever, exploration, they understand the philosophy of the sciences, right? So similarly, the Padartha Vijnana basically tells how Ayurveda draws from the Indian philosophical systems and how it adapts the terminologies available in the philosophical systems to that particular domain. So one thing we need to understand about the various Indian sciences is that you would find very common terminologies across the domains. And for example, if you say samskara, right? The word samskara, all of us know, building right habits or the value systems and all that. That is one aspect that we know. When we look at Yoga Shastra, the samskara refers to the deep-seated, latent and potent impressions that are created in the chitta, which sprout at different points in time given the right environment. Okay, that is samskara. When you look at, for example, Rasa Shastra, the same word samskara means the process that the metal or material goes through in order to become useful as a medicine. So the process of beating it, heating it, cooling it, liquefying it, all these, there are about 16 processes that the material goes through in order to make it into a useful medicine. So that is Rasa Shastra. When it comes to aspects like daily life or the life of an individual, then again the samskaras means the Shodasha samskaras, which are the 16 samskaras. Like for example, you have Garbhadhana samskara, Upanayana samskara, or Antim samskara. So like that, the same word, when it draws from the philosophical system, it is adapted to the various sciences. So that is what we would be looking at today as a part of Padartha Vijnana. As I told you, this topic will be a bit complex. When it comes to children, we don't touch too much of this Padartha Vijnana. But since all of us, might take our journey further in Ayurveda, even if we probably don't will not get initiated into a degree in Ayurveda. At least we will have more exploration in Ayurveda. So for that, we would be using the Padartha Vijnana, right? So now we will go into the material for today. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I just quit. Yeah. Yes. So before we go into Padartha Vijnana, I just thought I will share the story, origin story of Ayurveda, which is normally available in the various Ayurvedic texts. The Charaka Samhita, the Ashtanga Hridayam, each one talk of slightly different origins in terms of how it was transmitted from Brahma to the various rishis. So there will be different branches of rishis discussed in these various texts. But nevertheless, there is one, story, popular story, that when Indra was traveling in the universe, he observed that many people living on earth were suffering from various diseases. And whether it was the young or the old, they were all going through ailments, and there was nothing available to solve the problems of the people on earth. So he requested Dhanvantri Peruman to be born on earth and teach Ayurveda to human beings, so that, of course, they can lead a disease free life. And for the future, also, this knowledge will be available. So at that time, the king Dirghatamas of Kashi was performing a yajna in order to get a son. And he prayed with a lot of sincerity to Dhanvantri Peruman. And then the Peruman was born as his son. And he was born as Divodasha, the prince of Kashi. And in the later years, he created an entire lineage and brought forth Ayurveda to this earth. So this is one of the stories that people often narrate about Ayurveda. Don't worry if the fonts are too small. You might already know this story. So it so happened, this is about the Samudra Mantana. It so happened that Indra was traveling on an elephant, and Durvasa Maharishi appeared there and offered a garland. But then Indra, without paying due respect, put the garland on the elephant's trunk, and the elephant threw the garland on the floor. Durvasa Maharishi, for who he is, he was very upset with the whole thing, and he cursed Indra and the Devas that they would lose their power immediately. So instantly, all the Devas lost their powers. And taking advantage of this situation, of course, the Asuras became stronger and stronger, and they were overpowering the Devas. So in order to solve this, they approached, Lord Brahma, and Brahmaji directed them to Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu said that, we need to churn the ocean. And in fact, in order to churn the ocean, we need the support of the Asuras as well, because their Bala, Asura Bala, is required. So when the Amrita comes out, all of us can have it and then become immortal. So again, we know that, the Vasuki, the Mandara mountain, and all that, they were used, and Vishnu took the Kurma avatara, and then there was the churning of this ocean. So the first thing that came out was the Halahal Visha, which Shiva Peruman consumed, and then that is why he's called. And before it entered the body, Ma Parvati just held the neck of Shiva, and hence the Halahal stopped in the neck, and that is why he's called Neelakantha. And then there was also this Airavata that emerged, the Kamadhenu that emerged out of this. The Kaustuba Mani also came out of the churning. Uchchaishravas, the horse, came out of the churning. And of course, Dhanvantri Peruman emerged out of that with a pot of Amrita in his hand. And he was also holding a conch, leeches, various herbs, and of course the chakra that was held. So all these are worshipped as part of Ayurveda. And Dhanvantri Peruman is the Bhagavan of Ayurveda, and his emergence is what is observed as Ayurveda Day. So Ayurveda Day is celebrated in Ashwini Masa, Krishna Paksha, Trayodashi. It falls in October or November. Ashwini Masa is the seventh month of the Indian, Panchanga. Krishna Paksha is the dark phase of the moon and is the period from the full moon to the new moon. And Trayodashi is the 13th day of the lunar month. Of course, it is the phase of the when the moon travels around the earth, we see the different phases. We will be studying about the Masa, the Vara, the Paksha in the Ayurveda sessions. But for now, it is celebrated in the Ashwini Masa. And in Tamil, it often falls in the Kartigai Masa. Okay. So that is what we celebrate as Ayurveda Day all over the world. Okay. And the gurus of Ayurveda, if you look at it, Sushruta, Charaka, and Vagbhatta. And when we talk about Ayurveda, we talk about Ayuhu or Ayus, which is good, a long life or the lifespan. And Veda is the knowledge or the science. So the science of life or the knowledge of life is called Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is not just a system of medicine or healing. It is basically a holistic system of living, of transformation, of you can say preventive healthcare, and many such things are included in that. So when we look at the very ancient rishis of Ayurveda who contributed significantly, we have three prominent names. You have Sushruta, Charaka, and Vagbhatta. Sushruta is credited with the first surgery, of course, rhinoplasty. The surgery of the nose. We looked at the story of the British. They saw that some villagers were able to, heal their broken nose, and then they sent their soldiers to be treated. And that is how it later on it was popularized as well. Charaka, of course, the foundational concepts of Ayurveda were given by Charaka, and his thoughts are captured in what is called the Charaka Samhita. And Vagbhatta, he created about 18 Ashtavedya families. So these 18 families, their entire tradition was based on Ashtanga Hridayam. So a student of these Ashtavedya families, they would learn under their own father, their own family members, and they would basically memorize the Ashtanga Hridayam, and all their practices would draw inspiration from the particular text. So the Sushruta Samhita, Charaka Samhita, and Ashtanga Hridayam are known as the Brihat Trayi, or the big three texts of Ayurveda. So that is Ayurveda. So Ayurveda defines good health in a very holistic manner. It talks about dosha, balance of the dosha, samadosha, samagni. In the previous session, we had people bring out the definition of good health according to Ayurveda. So it looks at a holistic perspective of good health in terms of having a pleasant mind, having a properly functioning indriyas, and a harmonious manas. Then the Agni being balanced, the malas or the waste being cleared appropriately. Like that, there are very deep understanding. There is a very deep understanding of the entire body and health with respect to Ayurveda. So from the next sessions is when we would actually be going into some of what we call the doshas, the rasas, and all that. But in today's session, we would be primarily focusing on the philosophical aspects of Ayurveda. As I told you, it's going to be a bit jargon heavy. When it comes to the branches of Ayurveda, you have Bala Chikitsa, Bhuta Chikitsa, Urdhvanga Chikitsa, Shalya Chikitsa, Jara Chikitsa, and Vrisha Chikitsa. Okay, just like in modern medicine, you have pediatrics, geriatrics, and many such specializations like ENT and all that. You have very similar classification from a very long time. Bala Chikitsa is, of course, as the name suggests, it is concerned with the nourishment, growth, and health of children. There are texts like Kaumara Bhritya, which talk about the growth of children and what diseases children can contract and what are the solutions for the same. Bhuta Chikitsa, it talks about, it deals with the treatment and diseases affecting the mind. In fact, very interestingly, it is called Bhuta Chikitsa because, in a certain perspective, Ayurveda looks at the mental diseases in terms, or the mental illnesses in terms of what you can say as possessions by other beings, right? So that is why it's called Bhuta Chikitsa. So a lot of astrology, mantra, tantra, and the Ayurvedic medicines are used in the treatment of mental health problems. Urdhva Anga Chikitsa, it looks at the Urdhva Anga, means the upper part of the body. So it deals with the eyes, ears, nose, and throat regions. Of course, the ENT plus the eyes. Shalya Chikitsa, it is to do with surgery. Jara Chikitsa, it is to do with the old people and treatment of the ailments of old people. And Vrisha Chikitsa, it is related to reproduction and problems with that. So you would see that all branches, or at least all the angas of an individual, are covered. And very interestingly, if you see, when you look at Pashu and Vriksha Ayurveda, of course, these branches will be different. But the way Ayurveda looks at the Pashu and Vriksha in terms of the animals and plants, it's very similar because, again, they talk about the imbalance of the doshas and map the diseases very similar to what humans go through. So at our Gurukulam, that is what we also sort of look at, as a pathway, that basically children at the Gurukulam should be able to decode not just their own health, but decode animal health and plant health through the lens of Ayurveda. So because we have a Goshala, children interact with cows on a regular basis. So they practically know what affects the, or what imbalances the dosha of the cows. Okay. There seems to be a message, but I can't read it.
I was just an observation. The Jara Chikitsa sounds like geriatrics almost.
Yeah, it is. It
But-
is. It is geriatrics.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we get into this Vishaya or subject for today, which is Padarthas and Darshanas. Of course, we will be looking at Ayurveda Padarthas. So Pramiti Vishayaha Padarthaha. Okay. Whatever is to be known, those which are subjected to valid knowledge are called padarthas. So all the entities around us which we need to know, which we need to cognize, are called padarthas. Okay. So that those are the foundational concepts of any philosophical system that we need to know, or foundational objects in reality according to various philosophical systems that we need to cognize. Okay. The objects of knowledge are called prameyas, and each darshana has its concept of what needs to be known, right? And all objects in the world and their relationships can be classified and examined using the padarthas. And each darshana shastra has different counts of padarthas, or what needs to be known. And there are three lakshanas of padartha. What do you mean by a padartha? Okay. So there are three lakshanas. The first one is astitva. You need to, it needs to be there. It has to be existent in reality. It should not be imaginary. Abhidheyatva, it can be described or it can be named. Okay, nameable. And Nyayatva, it can be perceived either directly through the senses or through some kind of an inference. Okay. So just as, just a comparison here, infinite patterns are created using those glass pieces in a kaleidoscope. So similarly, the finite padarthas actually lead to the various objects of this world, right? So there are a lot of patterns that are created by the combination of these various entities that are to be known. Okay. So just a reminder about the various darshanas. We had Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Advaita, and Mimamsa. And when it comes to Sankhya and Yoga, what are the padarthas? There are 25 tattvas to be known, which are the Purusha, Prakriti, Mahat, Ahankara, 10 Indriyas, 5 Tanmatras, 5 Panchabhutas, five Bhutas. So that make up it has 25. Nyaya has 16 padarthas. Vaisheshika have 7 In Navya Nyaya, more have been included. In the modern context, more has been included. So it is 16 and then 6 plus 1, 7 padarthas. Advaita Vedanta, there is just only one thing, which is the Brahman. When it comes to Dvaita, there are 10 padarthas which are to be cognized in this reality. Okay. So when we say padartha, it actually means, when we normally use this word padartham, right? So what are the various entities and the various categories that we see around in reality? Yes, Dinesh ji.
सॉरी, ये कॉग्निस आप 2-3 बार बोले, उसका मतलब क्या है?
हम जो परसीव करते हैं हमारे सेंसेस के माध्यम से, like seeing, smelling, touching, and whatever it is, right? So we perceive something in reality. So जो हम सेंसेस के माध्यम से जानते हैं या we perceive it. If somebody can help me with the Hindi word for that.
हम समझते हैं या उसकी पहचान होती है,
हाँ,
ऐसे, राइट?
अच्छा, धन्यवाद।
नहीं तो विषय को भी हम धारण करते हैं ना. Suppose you see an apple, you know it's an apple because you're seeing the color with your eyes, right? Or suppose I close your eyes and then give you a rose, you would be able to smell and tell it's a rose. So you're using your senses to basically capture knowledge. So that is called cognizing or cognition. And there are various cognitive functions भी हैं, जो memory, attention, and then decision making, language learning. So जो हम बुद्धि के माध्यम से करते हैं वो सब cognitive functions हैं.
I think they call it anubhuti.
अनुभूति, हाँ, you can say अनुभूति, correct.
धन्यवाद।
So what are the padarthas? When we talk about padarthas in Ayurveda, of course, whatever is there in the Nyaya Vaisheshika, Ayurveda draws its inspiration from Nyaya and Vaisheshika, and how it is looked at in Ayurveda. Okay. So there are 6 padarthas. We would be going through some of them. Normally, a student of Indian logic would be studying many of these. There is a text called Tarka Sangraha, which talks about the various categories and classifications of reality. This Tarka Sangraha basically brings out insights from Nyaya and Vaisheshika in a very simple manner to help a student reason out about reality. So this, how is it adapted to Ayurveda? There are 6 padarthas or 6 things to be known in reality, which is Samanya Vishesha Gunadravya Karma Samavaya. Okay. Samanya means, or if we start from Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavaya. So Dravya is any substance, and each substance has its own quality. It exhibits certain pharmacological activities or functions in the body, and each substance has certain generic properties. Every substance has a very specific property, or it has infinite specific properties, and there are also properties which are inherent to that particular dravya, inherent to that particular substance. So that is called a samavaya or inherent quality. Okay. So this can be a little bit complex to understand at the moment, but as we explore further in today's topic, it will become more and more digestible that way, right? So when we look at the 6 padarthas, of course, the 7th padartha is abhava. Abhava means non-existent. Of course, Ayurveda does not, at least Charaka does not attribute to abhava, because anyway there is the Panchabhutas, everything exists in reality. So he is not looking at absence as an important padartha here. So we have 6 padarthas. Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavaya. So these are all important terminologies. As a student of IKS, it is useful to know. So as I told you, create your own tools, flashcards or whatever it is, in order to remember some of these terminologies. So in earlier times, I used to find this app called Quizlet very useful in order to create flashcards, and then Quizlet also gamifies it. You can match and then play games. It creates the games for you, so you just have to enter the flashcards and then it creates the games for you. So Quizlet is a good app for you to create flashcards, and if you get to meet in person, form small groups, and then try to remember these terminologies. So I think when it comes to Indian knowledge systems, memorizing the foundational topics or foundational terminologies is very crucial. And as you use it, you will eventually start understanding them better. So don't worry about not understanding the terminologies, but at least when I say what are the six padarthas, you should be able to recollect that. Or what are the gunas, what are the panchabhutas, what is panchakarma, like that. They will be, what are the shadrasas, what are the tridoshas. So that part, it's very important to memorize it as much as possible. I know with age we all lose the capacity to memorize, but this is one of the best ways of actually creating a certain, enhancing the neuroplasticity as well, so that in the future even our brain health is taken care of, right? So padartha again, pramiti vishayaha padarthaha. So that which is subjected to valid knowledge, or that which is to be known, is called padartha. But actually the term pada and artha mean the word and meaning. So what is the association between the word and meaning is what is padartha. Of course, it is used in terms of the reality around us. And Ayurveda uses it from the Vaisheshika philosophy. Of course, in Vaisheshika, we talked about Dravya Guna Karma, Samanya Vishesha, Samavaya. Of course, Abhava is a seventh Padartha, which was added later on, which Ayurveda does not utilize. So, what are the three characteristics of Padartha? Astitva, Abhideyatva, and Nyayatva. So astitva means when it is actually existing, it should exist in reality. Okay, any dravya exists in reality. It is not imaginary, right? And abhidhyayatva, it is should be nameable or describable in words, right? And they should be you should be able to describe its qualities and many such things, right? And nyayatva, it is perceivable directly or indirectly through the senses. When it is not directly perceivable through the senses, we infer it. For example, say tridosha. We cannot see it through our senses, but we are able to perceive it through the various effects of that it creates, right? So asthitva, abhidhyayatva, and nyayatva. And so here, if you look at it, there are six padarthas, just to remind you: dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, and samavaya. Okay. So what is dravya? This is the first padartha that we are going to look at. So these are all foundational concepts of Ayurveda, and that is why we are looking at it. So dravya is derived from the root word dhru, which means to move or change. Okay. So any dravya is subject to constant change. Dravati, gachati, parinamam, abhikshanayati. That is called dravya. Okay. That which has movement and undergoes frequent transformation or frequent parinama. Parinamam, abhikshana. Frequently it goes through transformation is called dravya. Okay. And kriya gunavat samavayi karanamiti dravya lakshanam. Kriya gunavat samavayi karanamiti dravya lakshanam. So kriya gunavat means every dravya has gunas or characteristics or qualities associated with it, and it performs action or it performs function, and it also acts as a cause for creating more out of it, right? So that is called a dravya. So these are the foundational substances that are available in reality, and using those substances, they become the cause for creation of further complex substances, right? So that is called a dravya. So quality, that is guna and karma or kriya do not exist by themselves. So they need to be hosted in a substance or an object. So that is why a dravya is always tied to some quality or activity, right? Example, sugar, sweetness, and it sweetens any liquid. So sweetness by itself means nothing. You need an object which is sweet, right? So that is the dravya. And any dravya becomes the inherent cause for further creation, right? For example, wood becomes the cause for the table to be produced. So a table, there are various causes for which by which the table is created. Causes in the sense there is this material which becomes the table itself. But of course, there are tools that you use to make the table that does not become the table. There is the person who is actually working with the wood in order to make the table. That is also a cause for creation of the table, but that person does not become the table. So there will be some things which are the materials which actually become the further materials or complex materials, right? So that is the inherent cause which leads to further materials. So that is what a dravya does. Basically, it is a building block. If a dravya cannot be perceived directly, it can be perceived through its guna and karma. Again, tridosha can be perceived through the symptoms, right? So you have these various dravyas in reality, and they become the cause of creation of further dravyas, which can be used for other things. Yeah. So what are the Navadravyas? So there are 9 dravyas. When you look at the Vaisheshika Sutras, they talk about 9 dravyas. So you have the Prithvi, Apas, Tejas, Vayu and Akasha, Kala, Dik, Atma, Manas, iti dravyani. So it is Prithvi, Jala, Tejas, Vayu, Akasha, Kala, Dik, Manas, Atma. So you have the Pancha Mahabhutas listed as the dravyas, foundational dravyas. You have Kala, which is the time, which is also a dravya to be cognized, to be known, to be utilized. Dik, which is the space or the directions. Okay. The Manas, which is the mind, and of course the Atman. There are a lot of deep discussions on why Atman is also included here. We are not going to go into all those philosophical discussions. For now, we will just understand that in Vaisheshika, the Atman is also a dravya. Okay. The Dik and Kala take care of the spatial dimensions, and Atma and Manas give life to the various the organisms, which make it which give the Chetana Shakti to the organisms. The Karana Dravyas are the ones which are the cause for this entire reality to be created. The Karya Dravya is actually the effect that we see. Whatever has been created through these Karana Dravyas is what is the effect that we see in reality. So various causal substances come together. Innumerable objects are created in this reality. Okay. So that is called Karya Dravya. Okay. Karya Dravya, or the effects or whatever is produced from the fundamental dravyas, can be classified. How does Ayurveda look at it? So they are looked at Chetana Dravya and Achetana Dravya. Chetana Dravya are differentiated because from the Achetana, because they have the ability to sense and respond through their Indriya. Basically, it is living organisms. Achetana, they don't have the Jnanendriya or Karmendriya. So basically, they are non-living. They cannot sense, they cannot respond through their Indriyas, and hence they are non-living that way. Okay. So the fundamental classification of the various dravyas that we see around in creation, it is Chetana and Achetana Dravya. The Chetana Dravya include the Sthavara and Jangama. Sthavara, which cannot move, and Jangama, which can move. Okay, Sthavara are the plants and Jangama are the animals. And Jangama are called Bahiranta Chetana. Activities both externally and internally they do. That is why it's called like that. Sthavara is Anta Chetana because only inwardly the activities are happening. Outwardly they just appear static, right? So in fact, there is a beautiful conversation in the Mahabharata, which we have captured in our books as well. So there is a conversation between Bhrigu and Bharadvaja Rishi, talking about plants. How do we consider plants to be having Chetana Shakti? Are they really alive? And then it goes into details of how, because plants absorb water, they grow in the direction of sunlight. It means that they perceive light. Because they absorb water, it means there is some function that's happening there. So it means that they have indriyas which can respond, and hence the conclusion is drawn that plants have Chetana Shakti. So that is a wonderful conversation. In probably I will share the notes in the classroom. And there are also other, the Achetana Dravyas are also classified in terms of Prakrita Dravyas, or the what is available in Prakriti in terms of the various metals and minerals, right? And Kritrima Dravyas, which are innumerable, which are formed from other Achetana Dravyas, small materials that we see around us. Those are all Achetana Dravyas, which don't have Chetana Shakti, but are available around us, right? So this is the fundamental classification of dravyas that we see in Ayurveda. So what is the classification? See, whenever we look at Ayurveda, it would be difficult to draw an immediate parallel with modern medicine or modern biology, because the worldview is different. How it was looked at in ancient times was different. And what are the foundational building blocks? Even that is different. So to draw direct parallels will be difficult. Some of it will seem very contradictory to what modern science understands. Of course, over a period of time, Ayurveda Vaidyas have also phased out some of these understandings and adopted many things from modern anatomy and physiology as well. So for now, we will just understand what are the various terminologies as mentioned in the text. Okay. So when we talk about the Jangama, which is the animals, there are different classifications. Of course, there are 4. The Puranas also talk about it: Jarayuja, Andaja, Udbhija, and Swedaja. So Jarayuja means Jara, it is born in the womb, it is born out of the placenta. Andaja, it is born out of eggs. Udbija, it is born out of the earth and seeds. Of course, frogs were considered to be in this category. As I told you, may not align with modern science. Swedaja, it is born from dirt or sweat, and hosts like parasites. You have lice and all that, right? So all this is considered, or even various things that are born out of dirt. So that is called Swedaja. So this is the basic classification of animals according to Ayurveda. And plants, you have Vanaspati, Vriksha, Aushadhi, and Virudh. Okay. So Vanaspati are those that bear fruit without flowers, like jackfruit. Vriksha or Vanaspatya are those that bear flowers first and then fruits like mango, guava, etc. Aushadhi, that complete their life cycle from germination to production of seed. They die in one season, like pea, for example. Aushadhi also includes grass varieties. And Virudh are the creepers and climbers. So they are classified into Lata, which are creepers that grow horizontally, and pumpkin and watermelon. Valli, which are climbers that grow vertically. Cucumber, money plant, they all grow vertically, right? So this is a basic classification that is available. Of course, in some of the Ayurveda texts, even the classification of the plants is slightly different, but overall this is the classification. So you have Vanaspati, Vriksha, Aushadhi, and Virudh, Jarayuja, Andaja, Udbhija, and Swedaja. No, don't worry about memorizing all of this. When you read many texts, you will eventually get them in your language, right? But the foundational classifications like padarthas or dravyas, that needs to be known. So how does Charaka Samhita look at dravya? It looks at 2 things: Aushadha Dravya and Ahara Dravyas. Aushadha Dravya is mainly for treating various diseases. So you have the various medicinal plants, you have the minerals and metals which are used for creating medicines. That is called Aushadha Dravya. Ahara Dravyas are some things that you use on a regular basis in order to get nutrition, which is basically coming from the food that we eat. So that is how Charaka looks at the various dravyas. So basically, dravya means any substance that is used in order to treat or in order to create good health, that is called dravya in Ayurveda. Whereas the philosophical system looks at dravya, navadravyas, as the panchabhutas, the dikkala, manas, and all that. The fundamentally Ayurveda looks at dravya in terms of the materials that can be utilized, or the materials within the body, which can be known, utilized. More materials can be created, could be used for treatment and all that. So any substance that we see around in reality, that is a dravya. Okay. So we looked at the sapta padarthas, or six padarthas according to Ayurveda. You have dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, samavaya. Okay. So the dravyas we just looked at, Ayurveda dravyas. Now it is guna, or the various qualities, okay, of the dravyas. So when we look at the gunas, the Vaisheshika Sutras often list 24 in number. The Tarka Sangraha at least lists 24 gunas. So it's very simple. When you look at this table, it all sounds so complex, but in reality, it is very simple. When you take any object, for that matter, you would have to describe that object. First, you will name that object, right? And then you will describe that particular object using the various qualities. So if you take, say for example, a tulsi plant, right? You would first name it as a tulsi plant, and then you would go into the details of the leaf that is there, the color of the leaf, the shape of the leaf, what smell it has, what taste it produces, what impact it has on the body, right? All that you would list as quality of that particular leaf. Is it sticky? Is it dry? Is it wet? Is it slippery? All that you would describe. You will go into details talking about the various qualities of that particular dravya, right? So that is what is captured in general categories. These are all interesting activities, when we teach Ayurveda to young children. Just show them an object and ask them to describe the object using various terminologies. So when you take any object or any substance, you need to describe it. Generally, the qualities are 24 in number. So you have Rupa Rasa Gandha, Sparsha Sankhya Parimana, Pritaktva Sanyoga, Vibhaga Paratva Aparatva, Buddhi, Sukha Dukkha, Ichha Dvesha Prayatna. And you have Shabda, Samskara, Gurutva, Dravatva, Sneha, Dharma, and Adharma. All these are listed in the various texts. So nothing, you have to describe the color of the object, the taste of the object, the smell of the object, what sound it produces when you touch, what is the texture, what is the number, like, is it, for example, if you have a handful of rice, there are several grains of rice, right? And what is the dimension of it? How can you measure it? Whether it is long, whether it is short. Pritaktva, is it separate or is it gooey and then it's all mashed into one thing? And when it comes, because manas and Atman are also dravyas, it talks about the mental qualities as well, in terms of Ichha, Sukha, Dukkha, Prayatna, and all that, right? And Dravatva, what is the fluidity, what is the heaviness, all this is looked at in terms of the gunas of the dravya. Okay. And when it comes to Ayurveda, again, the whole thing is translated to Ayurveda in terms of the gunas which are relevant to look at when you take a particular, say, a medicinal plant or a mineral or a metal, which you will be using in Ayurveda. So here you have Laghu Manda, Tikshna, Shita, Ushna, Ruksha, Shlakshna, Khara, Sandra, Mridu, Katina, Sthira, Sara, Sukshma, Sthula, Vishada, Pichila, and Yukti and Abhyasa. Okay, Laghu means it is light, Manda it is dull, Tikshna sharp, Shita cold, Ushna hot, Ruksha dry, like that it goes. So if you take up anything, say for example, if you take Vata, right? Vata means it is air, Akasha, and it is made of the two Panchabhutas, Akasha and Vayu. So basically it is very light, right? And it is very, you can say it is Laghu, and it is Chara, it is moving, right? It is unstable also. And like that, you can describe it. If you take oil, it is pichila, it is sticky. Or if you take honey, it is pichila, it is sticky, right? And if you take an acid, it is probably ushna, it is hot. And if you take, some kind of a rug, right? It is khara, it is very rough. So like that, if you take different materials in, say, naturally occurring materials, minerals or whatever, or a combination of that, the materials would have different qualities, because you need to know the qualities before you prepare the medicines, right? So that is why these gunas are looked at. The qualities of a rasayana can be inferred from this chart. Yeah, any dravya can be inferred from this chart. Yes, Ji.
Yeah. Smriti ji, can we just take a 2-minute
Yes,
break
Ji, yes,
to
Ji.
make the announcement? Arun ji, can you please do the announcement?
Namaste, everyone. We have an upcoming seminar next week, which is from 2 p.m. in the afternoon to about 6:30 p.m. In the evening. And this is an in-person seminar here in Austin, Texas. And the whole objective here is that you will have an opportunity to meet with Smriti ji, who will also be talking during the seminar. And the rest of the KSI team will also be presenting a number of topics that are related to our training program. And this would be a tremendous opportunity to not only learn new content, but also get an understanding of entrepreneurship and IKS. And we will also be, talking about, what we can do in the future in terms of education for the community using IKS as a medium. So this entire event will be highly participatory in nature, and we strongly recommend that everyone who's here in the city of Austin or even in other parts of Texas to come and attend. We will also send out a formal invitation for this to all members by tomorrow. Apart from this, on Sunday, we'll be having a special program with Smriti ji, and I'll let Prasad Kundeti ji to talk about it.
Namaste everyone. On 16th evening, 5 o'clock, we'll meet at our house. I'll share those details in separate email, the house address and all. So we'll have a bhajna satsang followed by Smriti ji talk about one of the topic and followed by a dinner for all the balas and all the members. So I'll share those details in the email about the address and the rest of the details. धन्यवाद.
वेरी नाइस. स्मृति जी, कितने दिन तक यहाँ रहने वाले हैं ऑस्टिन में?
अभी मतलब यूएस में 1 महीने का सोचा है, तो predominantly I will be in Texas.
वेरी नाइस.
Okay, very good. Yeah, please note down the program. It's in the chat. Arunji just posted. Please note down the location, time, and the detailed agenda for the event on Saturday. And Prasad ji will send out the details for the Sunday. I'm sorry, the previous one was for Saturday, and Prasad ji will send out the event for Sunday, 16th Sunday. Okay, thank you.
The Saturday event, what kind of a space is this, Ji? Is it a community space or like somebody's home?
No, it's a facility with classroom type environment.
Oh, okay.
A hall. Yeah.
Because I have a few people in Texas who are wanting to attend, so I just wanted to know if they can join. And yeah.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate, Arunji or Ashwinji?
Yes, Ji. So this is a professional facility with a hall
Okay.
and about
Yeah.
4 classrooms in it. So there
Okay.
will be plenty of opportunity to even have like micro level groups which are brainstorming things during that entire session.
Right. Understood. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can continue. Ji.
Yeah. I saw a few hands raised, but I will just complete this slide and come back to you. So when we look at the gunas in Ayurveda, there are many more gunas because you talk about the various spectrum of qualities. You talk about Shita, you talk about Ushna, like that you have various qualities. So Samanya guna, general qualities are 30 in number. The Vishesha gunas, which are 5 in number. Adhyatmika gunas, 5 in number. Sharirika gunas, 20, and then Paradi gunas, which are 10 in number. Like that, there are various qualities. It adds up to 40. I don't know how this 41 came, but nevertheless, you have the various general qualities and specific qualities, as well as the qualities of the Atman and Manas as well. And again, you have the Guruvadi gunas, which are the spectrum or the dual qualities of, or the opposite polarities that are often discussed in Ayurveda. So this is again the Guruvadi gunas which are there. Nothing, this is what we looked at early. Guru means heavy, Laghu means light, Manda is dull, Tikshna is sharp, Shita is cold, Ushna is hot, Snigdha is unctuous, Ruksha is dry. Of course, just develop a broad understanding of these terminologies. No need to go into this biological action and all that. This is more to do with people who want to take up a serious study of Ayurveda, looking at the various dravyas. They are just listed here so that you know that something of this kind exists, right? So when we look at the Guruvadi gunas, the qualities of the medicines are not recognized just based on the physical appearance, but based on the karma that they do or have on the body, or the activity on the biological system as well, right? So for example, milk is heavy not because of its physical heaviness, right? But it is because it is difficult to digest, it has the quality of guru. That's how it is looked at, or it has the property of nourishing the body. That's how it is looked at. So it is looked at in terms of what function it performs on the body, and accordingly the qualities of it are also. Yeah. So yeah, people had raised their hands. Anything that you want to mention at this point in time? Okay. So when it comes to karma, so we saw about, there are again 6 padarthas, I'm reminding you: Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Samavaya. Okay. So we looked at Dravya, which are the Ayurveda Dravyas, the Gunas, the various qualities in terms of the Guruvadi Gunas and various qualities of any Dravya, and Karma. Karma is the activity or the function performed by that Dravya. So in the normal logic, in the Indian logic or in Nyaya Shastra or Vaisheshika, the karma is spoken about. There are 5 karmas in terms of moving up, moving down, contracting, expanding, and then moving in different directions. Okay, these are the 5 activities performed by any object. But then when it is adapted to Ayurveda, the Panchakarma, or the 5 karmas, are different. Okay. So what are the 5 karmas? Panchakarma, people go for Panchakarma treatment, Panchakarma therapy, right? So what are the 5 karmas? So it is Vamana, Virechana, Basti, Nasya, and Rakta Moksha. Okay, this is what happens when you go for Panchakarma treatment. Of course, there are gradations based on the ailment, or how the Vaidya center looks at it, rejuvenation center looks at it. So Vamana is basically, it induces vomiting to remove the excess kapha from the upper digestive tract. Okay, it is the emesis therapy. Okay, and Virechana is basically the purgation therapy. it controls, it's a controlled purgatory process to eliminate excess pitta from the liver and intestines. Okay. The basti is the enema therapy, where herbal oil or decoction-based enema is used in order to cleanse the accumulated vata from the colon. So it is basically a colon cleansing therapy. Nasya is nasal administration, nasal drops for clearing toxins from the head. People, even some kinds of oil, medicated oils are actually poured into the nostrils. In fact, as part of the dinacharya itself, there are a lot of oils that can be used. Okay. And this is also said to improve the mental clarity, because the nose and all the upper regions are connected, and it also enhances respiratory health. Rakta mokshana is bloodletting. So there are a lot of ways to treat skin disorders and inflammatory conditions. So they basically make a small cut, and then the blood is let, or there is also this leech therapy that is used. So leeches basically draw out the bad blood. So just putting the feet and then on the leeches are put on the feet, and then they draw out the bad blood out of it. Right. So you have Vamana, Virechana, Basti, Nasya, and Rakta Mokshana. So these are some things that are often used in the Panchakarma process. So if you look at it, the Vata dosha imbalance has a certain kind of therapy, Pitta dosha imbalance has a kind of therapy, and Kapha dosha imbalance has a kind of therapy. So when you talk about karma, when it is the actions performed, so when you take a dravya, so what does this enable? What function does a particular dravya enable? Okay. So if it is, say, for example, if it is a herb, which of these it enables? If it is a particular medicine which you have prepared, which of this it enables? If it is, say, salt water, what does it enable? It basically, it enables excessive, you can remove, it induces vomit, right? So like that, each dravya has certain functions it performs, and it is mapped to, one of the ways it is mapped is through the panchakarma, right? So this is what is karma. Okay. So we have looked at dravya, guna, and karma. I thought I will delve a little bit into the other aspects also with respect to Ayurveda, with respect to Kala. So one of the dravyas that we looked at is Dik and Kala, right? So when it comes to Kala, how is it mapped in Ayurveda? When it comes to Kala say, for example, in the Nyaya Shastra, it is looked at whether it is for a short duration, or whether it is for a longer duration, or whether it is past, present, or future, like that it is looked at. Okay. Or when we look at the Kala measurements in various systems, for example, you have the Yuga system, or you have the Nadi, Vinadi system when it comes to Indian astronomy. But when it comes to Ayurveda, how Kala is looked at, right? So it is looked at through the lens of treatment. There are two types of Kala. It's called Kshanadi Kala. Okay. Kshanadi Kala is measured in terms of Kshana, which is a unit of time. It's a very small unit of time. When you say Kshana, it is a very small unit of time. And it is used to fix the medicine, Aushadha Kala, time for administering the various procedures, to describe the relationship with the seasons, the daily patterns, etc. Right? So it is looked at in order to at what time do you take the medicine, in what season you take the medicine, in what daily, what is the dosage, right? How much gap you have to give. All this is looked at through the Kshanadi Kala. Okay, Kshana Adi. It is from Kshana to various units of time are used with respect to the treatment process. The other way the Kala is looked at in Ayurveda is in terms of the stages of the various diseases. Okay, so you have the Vyadhi Avastha Kala. Vyadhi is disease, the Avastha is the stages of the disease, and the Kala is the time. Okay, so what are the different stages the disease goes through? So proper knowledge of the different stages of disease is important in designing the various treatment protocols. That's how the Vaidya looks at it. So Vaidya goes looks at the different stages, such as unripened stage, which is ama. Ama are the toxins that build up, right? And it is in a very crude stage at that point in time. There is still a lot of scope for treating it quickly by just removing the toxins. You can actually cleanse the whole body, right? And there is a ripening state, pachyamana, or the ripened stage, which is the pakva stage, and especially in involving information, which is pakas, right? So you have the unripened stage, ripening stage, and ripened stage, right? So you have the ama, you have the pachyamana and pakva stage. So that is how kala is looked at. Even in modern medicine, I'm sure there is a gestation period of the disease, and then when it manifests, and what time it actually goes away, right? When you have viral fever, there is a whole pathway for that disease that we look at. There are various stages of the disease. Or for example, when we talk about lifestyle diseases, or when we talk about cancer, we talk about stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4, depending on how the disease is maturing within the system, right? So similarly, what is the vyadhi kala that is happening? What is the stages? So that is also a measurement of time. So you have to envision like how the philosophical system, which talks about kala, like say Nyaya Vaisheshika talks about kala, and how when it comes to an applied science like Ayurveda, it is adapted, right? The terminologies are adapted. It is still based on the philosophical system, just that when you adapt it changes according to the context there. Probably in another science, the same words will be there, but they will be used according to a different context, right? So Kshanadi Kala and the Vyadhi Avastha. These are the measurements of time that are used. And very interestingly, the Aushadha Kala. Okay, what are the various periods in which the Aushadha or medicines can be given to the people, right? So this time is fixed depending on different aspects of the disease, the patient, the drug, when the drug is prepared and all that, right? So 10 main time periods specified for medical administration. Abhakta means not having food. So it is on an empty stomach. Prag Bhakta means before food, right? Madhya Bhakta means middle of the food. Adho Bhakta means after food. Sabhakta mixed along with the food. Sagrasa along with each grain of morsel of food. Grasantara in between such bolus, right? Muhur muhu means frequent use of that medicine. Samudga means before and after food. Samudga means box or enclosing the food by taking medicines before and after. And Nishi, it is at night. So you would see that there are 10 periods in which the medicines are given, and accordingly the medicines are prepared. And if you go to, it would be very interesting if if there is an Ayurveda Vaidya that you can just visit or interact with in Austin or wherever you live. It would be very interesting to see how they diagnose a particular disease, and then how they look at the pathway of the disease and what all do they check in you for diagnosis. Even if we don't have an ailment, even a simple prakriti, how do they look at us in terms of what are the possible things that we might contract, in terms of what are we prone to. At least that much they can say, in terms of, are you prone to frequent colds, or frequent ulcers, or burning sensations, or joint pains, or whatever it is, right? Depending on the prakriti and vikriti, they would be able to tell you. And then when they prescribe medicines, of course, in their mind, they are doing it in using this framework. But when they would write it on the prescription, they would just use the normal, communication language that is often used. Could be English, right? So before food, after food. This is something that we all commonly know when we take medicines. But just to tell you that there is a framework of kala that is looked at. So when what we call as kala in the philosophical system is adapted to Ayurveda as an applied science in this manner, right? And there are more things. You have Shatakriya Kala and Dosha Kriya Kala. So Acharya Shushruta again proposed different stages of the disease. He said accumulation of the dosha, dislodgement of the dosha from that side, circulation to other parts. So what happens is that there will be a period when the dosha is just accumulating at that particular site. For example, kapha dosha is normally accumulating in this region, above the chest region, right? Also above the abdomen region. So basically it is the chest, it is the nostrils, it is the sinus passages on the head and all that, right? Urdhva. So what happens, it starts, the kapha imbalance starts with accumulation of that particular dosha in this site, right? But then what happens is that the prakopa of that thing happens, right? Dosha prakopa happens. What is prakopa? Basically it starts to move away from that site and it starts affecting the other organs as well. So it then starts to circulate in other body parts, affecting, say, digestion or whatever it is, right? And it also gets localized at different sites in the body, and then it manifests as some kind of a disease, and progression of that disease happens, right? So then what happens, progression happens in terms of affecting the digestive system, affecting, say, for example, you tend to have joint pains and limb pain, whatever it is. So what started as a simple, say, kapha dosha, probably manifests itself through by spreading across the body in various forms. So what happens is that depending on the progression of the disease, the Vaidya will treat it accordingly. So it will not just be that is why looking at site specific drug administration, all this you have it in the modern times. You have nanomedicine, you have uh, you know you have things like talk about biomaterials, which can actually go I mean, not biomaterials, it's called I'm forgetting the terminology, but nevertheless, you have minerals and metals which can actually go inside the body and act with the cellular material in order to treat various diseases. You have site-specific drugs. A lot of this drug research is happening right now as well, very complex research. But then there is a lot of scope to look at, say, Siddha Ayurveda too from that lens, or apply some principles from Siddha Ayurveda too in the modern context as well. So you would see that the disease progresses through different stages, and depending on the stage it is in, accordingly the regions of the body are treated, right? And he also talks about dosha kriya kala, so where the dosha itself undergoes various changes depending on the ritu. So ritucharya, that is the season. So based on the seasons, the dosha undergoes various changes, right? So the dosha, so when we look at kala, why I'm talking about this is because we are looking at the dravya called kala, which is time. And there are various ways to look at time when it comes to Ayurveda. Say, for example, when it comes to business and management, say, for example, how would you look at time, right? You would look at time in terms of, say, the stages of the business, or something like that. Like, you would adapt that word to your own domain. So similarly, Ayurveda has adapted that fundamental kala to this domain. So when it comes to dik is direction, right? So you have the ashta dik, which are the 8 directions, and then up and down. You have the 10 directions, right? So in Ayurveda, 2 terms are used. Dik refers to south and north. Desha refers to a place or site. So it is of 2 types. So deha desha, so different sites or locations in the body, like limbs and organs. So because you need to describe where this disease is occurring, you need that particular desha or location, right? Or the geographical area, the bhudesha. For example, you look at dry land, marshy lands, moderate lands, right? Dry lands aggravate the vata, marshlands aggravate kapha, moderate lands bring actually balance of the doshas, right? So these areas where you live also affects your health. What are the flora and fauna available for preparing medicines, for eating as food? All these are different, and hence looking at the geographical location also becomes important, right? So other aspects where dik is useful is in terms of important for collection of raw materials for manufacturing the medicines. Specific directions are mentioned in for construction of the kitchen, the theater, the pharmacy. Even if you could look at the Rasashastra book, there are specific directions mentioned where you can set up various aspects in order to prepare the medicines, right? So there also the dik matters a lot. And characteristics of air and water change according to the direction from which they originate. So you would normally see, you would talk about the say northeast, sorry, we have the southwest monsoon, we have the northeast monsoon in India. So like that, you will have the way from where the wind is blowing, and accordingly the plants, the diseases that we have all change. So dik is a very important concept when it is adapted to Ayurveda, right? So you have deha desha, or the site specific with respect to the body, and the geographical area, the bhudesha, which is of three types, the dry lands, the marshy lands, and moderate land. Like that, there are various aspects with respect to the dik when it comes to Ayurveda, right? And again, there is dravya that we spoke about, which is the manas, right? And manas is what it has certain qualities, 5 characteristics, right? Charaka talks about it. Chintya, it can think. Vicharya, it can analyze. Uhya, it can assume. Dhyeya, it can imagine. And sankalpa, it can, sankalpa is not just debatable, but basically it can converge on something. It can diverge and converge on something, right? And so that is the manas as a dravya. So you would see that when it comes to Ayurveda, the various philosophical concepts are adapted to this particular domain. So I will just quickly go through where we started, in terms of the padarthas. We saw 6 padarthas: dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, samavaya. In dravya, we looked at the fundamental navadravyas, which are the panchabhutas, dik, manas, kala, and atman, which are the 9. Whereas when it comes to Ayurveda dravyas, we looked at how the various materials and minerals that we find, which are composed of the panchabhutas, which are usable for treatment, are also dravyas, right? And we looked at guna in terms of the fundamental 24 qualities. When it comes to Ayurveda, we looked at the guruvadi gunas. Karma, which is terms of the action performed by that particular dravya. Generally, the actions are going up and going down, contracting and expanding and moving. When it comes to Ayurveda, it is translated in terms of panchakarma, the treatment that is given. What are the various functions performed by the various herbs, right? And we looked at a few more dravyas, right? Not just the materials. We looked at kala, how it is adapted in Ayurveda, how dik is adapted in Ayurveda, and what are the qualities of the mind when it comes to Ayurveda. So this is what we have been looking at in this particular session. I know it's a lot to capture in one session, but nevertheless, at least when we read certain books on Ayurveda, it becomes easier. Yeah, I'll stop here for today. Yeah, Subramani ji.
Namaste ji, great session as usual. So I have a question on the medicines. You had a section where you were saying in between meals, the
Yeah.
timing of the medicine.
Correct. Ji.
So I wanted to know what is an example of sagrasa. That other ones, I think I have taken some treatments and I can relate to the other ones. But what would be a good example of sagrasa if you can?
I am not so familiar with many of these things, so I can find out. But yeah,
Okay, ji.
yeah, I can find out specific examples. Yeah. But as you said, normally we have this before food, after food is what we have normally come across. Some of these, we don't use it in a commonly.
No, I have seen this muhur muhu also. Like they will say every time you feel itchiness in your throat,
Correct.
just take a. So, and bolus means one, like one
It
spoonful
could
of
be,
food.
yeah, say every quantity of food that you have this thing. Yeah.
Okay, ji.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This mixed with the food that we have had, like, we have a lot of these podis that we do, which we mix it with the food that we eat and then have this. Yeah. The sabhakta thing is very common. Yes.
Okay. Dinesh ji?
नमस्ते स्मृति जी, बहुत अच्छी बात है आप इधर आई है, आपको मिलने का मौका मिलेगा। और पूछना ही था कि यहाँ ऑस्टिन में कोई आयुर्वेद आचार्य या आयुर्वेद की ट्रीटमेंट कोई करता है, ऐसा किसी को कोई मालूम है क्या?
हाँ. So, Dinesh ji, I was just chatting with Sivakami ji on the side. She does know a Vaidya in Austin, Ayurveda Vaidya. So, we can provide that information when we meet. Let's connect and let's discuss that. Yeah? हाँ. तो उस समय में मिलके हम बात करेंगे उसके बारे में. Yeah.
धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. प्रसाद जी?
Smriti ji, namaste. As usual, great session. Any reference in the Charaka Samhita, like which we can chant or practice? Any important slokas or something like that? Can point.
We will be looking at a few verses from Ashtanga Hridayam as we progress in the sessions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Otherwise, there is this elaborate website on Charaka Samhita, which provides all the chapter details. It's the Charaka Samhita wiki is there, quite detailed. Yeah. I'll just put it in the chat box.
Okay. Dhanyawad.
Okay. There is anyone else has their hands raised? Okay. There's more people. Prasad ji, Subramani ji, do you have one more question?
Yes. I have one more question. So the question is like, is there something, some sequence of say overriding instructions? By that I mean like the say dinacharya, right, or the medicines that you're supposed to take at a specific time, but that would not take into effect if your lifestyle is say morning you are in Austin, evening you are in Canada. If you are following that kind of a lifestyle, so the dinacharya won't be applicable to you, or it will not really work for you. So first you have to you yourself have to follow some timetable, only then this will work. Otherwise, I'm just talking about some overriding principles, right? This thing will work as long as you are following some prerequisite conditions. Is there
So
some
I
mention of
feel
that?
that a local Ayurveda Vaidya will be able to sort of resolve this because, the breadth and depth of Ayurvedic knowledge will be needed in order to help adapt it to different situations. Like, for example, when it comes to yoga, we are able to sort of advise people when they travel or how they can adapt the practices based on whatever is available and all that. So when it comes to Ayurveda, the local Vaidya matters a lot because they would be operating in that particular context, understanding the routines that are there or the seasons that change and everything. Yeah. So I'm sure the Ayurveda Vaidya will be able to resolve this thing. Yeah.
Okay. Mridula ji?
Namaste, Smriti ji, Srinivas ji, and everybody else. One of our esteemed participants asked the meaning of jara. So, jara in Marathi and maybe even in Hindi, it means budhapa or old age. And it actually means the kamzori from budhapa. Now, nowadays, everything is different from before. We have preventive cardiology, we prevent osteoporosis. So, it can be taken in its own context. But there's a very famous Marathi Geet Ramayan in which in poetry, it's Jara Marana Yatuni Sutala Kona Prani Jata, which means that everybody has to go through old age and death. And during this whole talk, Smritiji used Jara in one of the Ayurvedic references as well, which had a completely different meaning. So it's probably one of those, etymology words that has like completely, different meanings as well.
The jara is used in terms of in the branch of medicine that deals with ailments of the old age or the health conditions of older people. So that way, it is still, as you say, it is adapted to that domain. So it has to be looked at accordingly. Yeah.
वैसे श्रीमद् भगवद गीता में भी कहा है ना, जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुख दोषानुदर्शनम.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. It appears several times in Bhagavad Gita, actually.
Right.
And this is a very important topic, and going forward we'll discuss it, right? There are many words in Sanskritam which, once they enter the technical space of a specific domain, the meaning is very contextual and it changes quite a bit. Okay, the word varna, for example, means completely different things in different domains. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We will discuss this, right? I mean, when we come to the Samskrita module, we'll definitely discuss this particular contextual understanding of these technical terms.
Yeah, the idea of paribhasha will be different, like the terminology.
The paribhasha change. Yes, Ji. Yes.
In fact, that's the reason why even if somebody knows Sanskritam, they may not be able to decode an Ayurveda or a Ganita text, or because the domain-specific interpretations will need the Guru Sishya parampara to decode that, basically.
Yeah. Saindhava means salt or horse. Yes. Yeah. Correct.
I just wanted to mention a word, like I'll be carrying the books with me. So I think many people already have the Anadi books with them. So if in case people want, they will be available in, I think, Houston or Austin.
Okay. Thank you, Ji. 1 minute. Any other questions? Okay.
So,
Dhanyavad.
quick question. Ji, kids are allowed on Sunday, but kids should preferably not be allowed on Saturday, right?
So just to make it accessible even for the Saturday program to all of our attendants, we can do maybe a kids activity in one of the many rooms that we have at the facility. So I don't want it to be like a limitation for anyone. I would really love to have you all come participate and be at the event. And we'll also have dinner, by 6:30, so you don't go back hungry on Saturday.
Does that answer your question, Deepti ji? Okay, good. Yeah.
Dhanyavad.
Very good. I thought I saw Rudrasen ji's hand go up also, but it's down now. DCG?
Yeah, for Saturday session, is it only for the class participants or also the spouses as well?
So for the class participants and your spouses, it's totally fine, and you can also bring your children, so that it's not a limitation for you to take care of your children. But we really want your presence on Saturday during that entire program. The Sunday program, where the focus is more on Adhyatma, that is also open to the general public also. But Saturday is very much focused on everything that we're learning through our IKS program and the possibilities of what we want to do with IKS in the future and how we can use your experience and expertise so that we can build new things with what we're doing over here.
And the Saturday online class will happen as usual, right?
Yes, Ji.
Yes, in the morning. Yeah. Tulsi ji?
No, that was my question actually. Whether we'll have the class on Saturday or this is just a extra thing that we are doing. Thank you.
Yeah. This is over and above the class schedule. Yeah.
Anant Lakshmi ji, we're very happy to seeing you today.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing
I
you
have
today
my
evening.
flight in some time, so I will head to the airport.
Yes, and we'll be happy to receive you.
Yeah.
Okay. Dinesh ji?
सिर्फ ऐसा हम ये सब हमारे लिए है, तो माता जी उधर है, इतने सुबह जल्दी उठ के बैठती है, तो थोड़ा उनका टाइम अगर है हम उसके अनुसार एडजस्ट हो सके, तो क्या उनको उतना जल्दी ना उठना पड़े, या तो
Actually, yeah, from the next class, I will be in the same time zone as you, as all of you, so it's not a problem. Yeah,
अच्छा, नहीं, आपको जो ठीक लगे.
correct.
Yeah, yeah,
No, early morning is fine. Actually, I like early morning classes.
yeah. Thank you, Dinesh. Yeah, thanks for the consideration there. Okay, I think as Smriti ji mentioned, she needs to head over to the airport shortly. So we will wrap up. There were some questions about, last week a couple of groups could not present and they had the presentations ready for today. Unfortunately, we didn't plan for that time today, and I apologize if there was any miscommunication. We will have plenty of opportunities for upcoming presentations. So yeah, please don't feel disheartened, or again, I'm very sorry if you thought there was a presentation today, but we'll keep the presentation mood going, and we'll make sure that everyone continues to review the material. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities in the upcoming modules, so we'll definitely make use of those. All right. Yes, just 1 second. So there were two messages, one from Mridula ji that said, oh, Jaravya. Okay, yeah, sure, ji. Yeah, Dinesh ji, please send. There is several shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. One fantastic site for Bhagavad Gita is the Gita Super site at IIT Kanpur. Okay, I can post the link if you want. Let me send you one link. I was just looking that up when I this thing. So if you type in Devanagari, you'll immediately get access to this one. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Deepti Shuklaji. Yeah. And then the second thing is Deepti Shuklaji wants to invite everyone to San Antonio for an event today at the Swami Sarva Priyananda Hindu Temple. Oh, no, Swami Sarva Priyananda is, oh, I see. Sarva Priyananda is at the Hindu Temple in San Antonio. Okay, Deep Shuklaji, please, can you just...
Aji, I'll be very quick. At Om Ashram, we are having Gita Parayan. Over there, we have invited Swamiji to speak for a little, enlighten us a little bit. But he will have a longer 1-hour session at the Hindu Temple, HTSA, at 6:30 p.m. And both are today.
Excellent, excellent. And is this the Swamiji from the Vedanta Society?
Ji.
Oh, okay. All right. Swamiji.
Could you please share the location link?
Ji, in the WhatsApp group, or?
Yeah, in the WhatsApp group. So we'll have it. Otherwise, this chat will go away.
Is it okay if I share, Ji?
Yeah, of course. Or if you're unable to share it there, I think there is a limitation that only admins can share, but you can send it to one of us and we'll immediately put it on the WhatsApp group.
I will, Ji. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sivakami ji?
Hari Om. I was wondering the Pond Springs location. There are several buildings there. That whole space is like a strip mall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So which building is this one in? Is it the massage center, or is it where?
Mm-hmm.
Which building will this be in?
Yeah, Arunji.
Yeah, it is 350A. It is opposite of Natyalaya.
That's what I was wondering, whether Natyalaya is the location. Opposite Natyalaya. So can you put that in the group also, please? Because in the group it says 13901, but the specific location would help.
I believe we will put it
Is it there?
350A. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we can wrap up for today. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. We'll meet hopefully in person next Saturday, but definitely in the class next Saturday morning. Okay. Bye. Have a wonderful day.
Mrudula ji on chapter 13, slok number 9.
Hari Om, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram. Hari Om.
Hari. Mrudula ji, chapter 13, slok number 9. धन्यवाद.
Yeah, धन्यवाद. मैं लिख रही अभी.
Namaste ji. Yes, everyone.